Check, check, checkity, check, check, check. Woo! Oh yeah, in a big crowded room, making lots of noise on the Zoom. Check, check, check. All right. Oh yeah, Fifth graders at the beginning of the process get to like decide what character they want to work on, and then 6 of them basically have to agree on what one character will look like. So like one person is doing like portrait, one person is doing profile, another person is doing this, and then full body of all those angles, and they have to like agree on some basic traits, and then they do like a lino cut print. They each do a lino cut print, and then I make a bunch of photocopies of those prints, and that's what we cut up and animate.
What's your passion in all this?
I mean, honestly, like printmaking is one of my things, and animation is another thing. And we started doing this project as like retelling myths from around the world, mostly because it was part of the like 4th grade literacy curriculum at the time. But also, I had a minor in comparative religious studies, and so like. It kind of like weirdly works great for me to, every year I get to dig through a bunch of myths from around the world and then they select one. So it like weirdly checks a lot of boxes for me as a teacher. This project developed over a couple of years. For a while I was partnering with a 4th grade teacher to do like a graphic novel to piggyback on their mythology unit. And then the music teacher across the hall from me was working on Gustav Holst The Planets and having the kids like compose additional pieces for it. And so as they were doing that, I was like, oh, we could animate some stuff and we'll make like a video of your recordings of your songs. And so they had to like storyboard something happening out in space, and they had a lot of planets blowing up and rocket ships and stuff. And then like as I was like editing it together and taking the music from the music room and putting all these things in order, I was like, man, if we just like lined up storyboards in order, we could like take our graphic novel project and this project and turn it into something narrative, and maybe it'll make sense. I've done some workshops with teachers before, and I love doing them. The like app we use is free. It's just Stop Motion Studio. You can do it on your phone or on an iPad. There's even some stuff for like Chromebooks if schools have Chromebooks. I haven't used those, but I think my advice to teachers would be just like start small and do it as like an experience kind of thing. Like let the kids loose with stuff, and it will be very intuitive, and they'll figure out the process really fast. And then if you want to be crazy and like try and come up with a giant narrative project, like as you gradually piece things together, like your own process will come together for that. It's a lot of like, for the teacher, it's a lot of front loading, like planning how to make it function, but like once you have kind of like your own system, it can work. And you can do a lot of things that don't have to be like super planned out ahead of time, and kids will still get something out of the experience of animating. This year I'll find out what we learned. Like as we work on the new one, like new things will come up. A lot of times at film festivals, like the questions people ask give me ideas for like what I should try to introduce with the students for the next year. So like, I don't know, it was only like 3 years ago maybe where someone asked the question like, could you ever make the characters blink? And so like we had just been making them talk and change mouths out and do different techniques. And then like it was like, oh, well, okay, here, well, I'll teach the kids to like make different eyes to make them blink. And then the next year then they started changing eyebrows to give them like different expressions, and then they take it from there. So, I mean, I learn stuff from like questions at festivals, and then what I think I'm presenting to them, they like multiply it. So I'll find out what they multiply this year. Spoiler alert, there's like a fake pop-up ad in the middle of the movie, right at like the climax of the action. And it came about really because when they're voting on the films, I give them examples of previous videos of different myths from around the world, and I was showing them on YouTube, and so pop-up ads were coming up all the time. It was always like a Grammarly ad, and so originally they were like, we should put a Grammarly ad in ours, and then we're like, well, we can't do an actual, we don't want to advertise for anybody, but you can make up a fake ad, and so they did it. So I think the fact it kind of happened because the examples all had ads popping up on them. the previous year's movie involved a whole like sequence of a character doing terrible pickup lines, and some of them had been part of the brainstorming process for what those terrible pickup lines should be. And so they really they realized my bar for what's appropriate is probably the line is probably not where it should be, but I'm really happy when they're right on that line, and so they were like, oh, we can go crazy. So hopefully, I don't know. I don't know what gave them the confidence to come up with that, but I'm glad they did. Part of my process has been figuring out how to do it and not need any funding. I mean, apart from what I have in my school budget. So I set aside a little of the budget to try and get one more iPad each year so we can build it up. And I try and keep this as low budget as possible, because as soon as it depends on money, then who knows? We do have a YouTube channel, Crestwood Art. It's got all the previous films that aren't in festivals right now.